Welcome friends, I'm Meredith, better known around the internet as mereofalltrades, and today I am sharing a absolutely delicious surf and turf dinner that I made for my wedding anniversary with my husband. The grandparents took the kiddos for several days. Hallelujah! Thank you, in-laws. And so I cooked a meal, was able to film uninterrupted, and let me tell you, these steaks, oh, they were so good. Okay, so I am sharing some filet mignon with my own recipe for a garlic herb compound butter. Turned out great. And then I also cooked crab on a sheet pan, and the way that I did it turned out wonderfully. I am not a seafood expert, like I probably say in the later clip that you're gonna see in a minute, but it turned out really well. It tasted great, nice and tender and succulent, all of the good things. We had Caesar salad to go with it and some biscuits, some cheddar biscuits that came out of a box mix because every once in a while I don't do the whole thing myself. So I'm going to go ahead and share all those with you. I will definitely leave the recipe for the compound butter down below. The steaks are just salt and pepper, which you will see. It's really more about searing it and then putting it in the oven to finish off. The other thing I will say about the steaks, because I don't think I mentioned it while I was cooking, is that I tented them in foil, and you want to take your steaks out of the oven just a few minutes before they are actually done, because first of all, if you're cooking them in a cast iron skillet like I did, that cast iron skillet is really going to hold on to the heat, and so will the steaks. So if you put tin foil over them to sort of let them rest afterwards and let the juices redistribute in the beef, you will continue that cooking process a little bit more. So definitely take them out shy of what you normally like. And I highly recommend using a meat thermometer to be able to tell if it's medium, medium rare, however you like your steaks. All right, guys, so definitely let me know, is there a special anniversary dinner or favorite restaurant that you like to go to for celebratory occasions? Let me know in the comments below. So we're going to make some compound butter, a garlic herb compound butter, which is simply butter that you add other flavorings to, and I'm going to use chives and rosemary, which I have here, as well as some fresh garlic. I had originally planned to roast said garlic, but that didn't happen. So anyways, I have 1 stick of softened butter in here, and if you take a whole clove of garlic, you put the pointy end down and then just press, the whole thing will break apart and you'll easily be able to grab out your cloves of garlic. Take your knife, give it a good whack, and the outer peel will come right off nice and easily. Now I'm only going to use 1 clove of garlic. This is quite a large clove of garlic, and since it's raw, I feel like that is quite enough. But if you had a smaller clove, you could possibly use 2 if you really enjoy that. Now that that large clove of garlic is very finely minced, we're going to go ahead and add that into the bowl. And then I'm also going to add just 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And do a nice big handful of chives. I'm sure it will chop down to be not much at all. So I've measured it out so I could give you exact measurements. This is a nice, well-packed 1/4 cup of chives. Since they have a nice mild flavor, I'm not worried about using quite a bit of it. And then rosemary, however, is a very strong flavor, so I'm definitely going to use only a little bit of that. So you can just remove rosemary from the stem by pulling against the leaves, and they just pull right off. And then the ones at the top where the stem is a little bit more flexible, you can just pull those off. And 1 teaspoon of well-chopped rosemary. I didn't worry too much about chopping the chives into really small pieces because they're a milder flavor. And then I'm just going to go ahead and beat this with a hand mixer until it is completely combined. I could totally do this by hand because the butter is nice and soft, but that sounds like work. So here is what it looks like, nice and blended up. And I am simply going to put it in this nice little ramekin that I have and chill it in the fridge until I am ready to use it. And while I'm cooking the other things, this will just have a good chance for the flavors to meld together and get even more delicious. And then since I hate to use dishes, I'm going to be making some biscuits, and I'm totally going to reuse this bowl to do so. Now I'm going to make the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits using the box mix. This stuff is darn tasty, and the good news is you have to preheat the oven to 450 to bake these, and I'm going to need that nice preheated oven to finish off our steaks with our herb butter that we just made, so it works out perfectly. Have you guys ever tried this biscuit mix? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. So I have the 1 bag of mix, 3/4 of a cup of cold water, and it calls for 1/2 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I don't have that. I have cheddar jack cheese, so that's totally what we're going with. And it calls for 1/2 cup, so I'm totally going to use exact measurements here. Seems good. Maybe a little more. And then the box directions say not to overmix it, so we're just getting it until it comes together. And then we're going to scoop it onto our baking sheet. This is supposed to make, I believe, 10 biscuits. So more than enough. This is actually anniversary dinner for hubby and I, so there will be leftovers. Maybe I will make breakfast sandwiches on the leftovers tomorrow morning. That would be really good, like egg and cheese and Canadian bacon on one of these in the morning. Yum. I love a good savory breakfast. How about you guys? Alright, that has just come together, and it is saying that the portion should be about 1/4 cup each and placed 2 inches apart on the baking sheet. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. You're also supposed to line it with parchment paper. Here's what they look like all scooped out. And when you pull these out of the oven, there is a seasoned butter that you put over it, and it comes with a nice little packet, and we're just going to add that into the melted butter. And I will brush that on once they come out. I've got some steaks resting on the counter, ready to be cooked. So you always want to bring your beef out and let it sort of warm up just a little bit before you cook it, so it doesn't seize when you put hot beef or cold beef into a really hot pan. Alright, this is ready to go for when I pull them out. I have 2 of the beef tenderloin fillets, also known as filet mignon. I believe these are 5-ounce portions, so just 1 for me and 1 for the husband. And when you are dealing with beef, it's always great to season it and let it sit with the seasoning on for a minute, which is exactly what I'm going to do while I'm cooking those biscuits. And the other thing you want to do is you do want to pat your beef dry so there's not extra moisture in the skillet. It's going to just sear that much better if you do. So I'm just using a paper towel on the top and a paper towel on the bottom, and I'm just getting rid of any excess liquid off of my beef. And then I'm going to wash my hands. So I'm just going to do a small drizzle of olive oil on each of these and brush them. And then I'm going to go ahead and cook them in the cast iron skillet, which I'm going to preheat. And this is actually a family heirloom. This was my husband's grandmother, Harriet's, cast iron skillet that I inherited. Alright, so those are brushed. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of black pepper, because again, we're going to season the beef. These are the only seasonings, just salt and pepper right now. But we're going to use that herb butter that I made over top of them right before we pop them in the oven to finish the steaks off. So they're going to have a lot of flavor in the end. I'm going to use a fork to turn them over so I don't get my hands dirty a second time. same thing on the other side. A little bit of pepper. And a pinch of salt each. Alright, and then I do have one red Alaska King crab leg. I figured we will share this, and so I'm just going to heat this on low heat in the oven just to warm it up since it has already been cooked. And to be honest, this is one of the few things where I don't know quite as much about cooking seafood, but I'm just going to put just a teeny tiny bit of water on this pan to keep it from drying out and to kind of create a little bit of a steaming effect in the oven. So I'll just cook this once the beef is out so it can rest. The other thing I got to go with our dinner is this Fresh Express chopped salad kit. This is a Caesar salad. It already has the dressing, the herb seasoning, the cracked pepper, and Parmesan cheese as well. And this is rather small, which is great because it'll be just enough for us each to have a side salad to go with our steaks. And just like that, Caesar salad's done. I'm going to put just a drizzle of olive oil in the cast iron skillet and get that preheating for our steaks. Skillet is ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and put the steaks in. We definitely want to hear that good sizzle. I'm going to let those go ahead and cook on that side, and then once I flip them, we will put the herb butter on top and stick them in the oven. Alright, as you can see, the biscuits are done, so I'm going to go ahead and spoon just a little bit of this butter mixture with the seasoning packet in there while they are nice and hot out of the oven. Steaks are still sizzling. My husband likes his steaks a little bit more well done than I do, so I am currently searing the sides of his piece just to make sure it's a little more, helping it along a little more. And then I'm going to flip mine. Want to have that nice crust on the bottom. Flip this one. And now I'm going to go ahead and do just a spoonful on each of our steaks, if I can get it to come off. Okay, seriously. Like that. And now, as soon as I get the butter on, I'm going to pop them right in the oven. So I just poured a little bit of water over the crab leg, and I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but there's some just on the tray for hopefully a steaming effect. And I'm just going to leave it in there until it is hot. And here are the steaks after their time in the oven. I did tent our steaks with some foil to let them rest while the crab leg was cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And I'm just going to check. I used a meat thermometer just to be sure that my steaks are done. I got mine from the CIA, aka the Culinary Institute of America, and it looks like they are done and good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my steak out. And that, friends, is what dinner looks like. I think it looks absolutely delicious, and I can't wait to eat it. Happy anniversary to me and the hubby. Thanks for watching, guys.